What's going on, people? As I awoke from my slumber today, I was feeling a bit anxious, and sometimes the thing that you want to do the least is the thing that you should do the most, and today was no exception. I decided to ask Alex to watch me play live on stream this morning and give me brutally honest critique on my play. So in the stream, Alex tells me the things he thinks I've done well, the things he thinks I've done not so well. And yeah, I get that feedback on my in-game thought process. As many of you know, I've not been playing that much poker over the last few years, and so getting my in-game thought process up and running again is very much a priority at the moment as I look to bring you more Twitch content. You should know that subscriptions are live on Carrot Corner. We've released a bunch of content from High Stakes Alex himself, the man you're going to see sort of mentor me in this video, but also some other people as well, and of course the first 10 episodes of the True EV series. We also had brand new coach James Shea drop on Carrot Corner a couple of days ago with his first 3 videos available for your viewing pleasure. Check it out at carrotcorner.com, and let's get to it. Let's watch me put myself in an uncomfortable situation and get some feedback on my own game from a High Stakes pro. Let's go. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the early morning show. I am your host, the Carrot Man, and with me in the booth is the one and only High Stakes Alex Carrot Corner coach, one whose content you can see if you subscribe at Carrot Corner, but he's going to be giving me a bit of mentoring today. Alex, I want you to be my mentor today. I want to come to you with all of my slowly getting back into the grind woes. I want to talk to you about some of my weird mental game issues, my insanities, my insecurities, and I want to talk about some hands as well. So looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. That sounds like it's going to be fun. And I've been encouraged by Akshar to be mean to you.
I want to be super candid here for a second and talk to you about what it feels like for me to play poker these days on stream, because I've not been, as you know, Alex, I've been focusing on the business for a long time now, primarily grinding. Like, being a grinder is something that's kind of a bit of a distant memory by this point. Like, putting in like high volume and trying to do that for like a significant source of income, that's something I've not done for quite some time, as most people know. I don't know, it's such a weird thing, because when I'm coaching or making content, I feel like I know what's going on, and I feel like I'm really relaxed and the thoughts come to me very naturally and easily, and I feel like I can see things clearly. And when I'm playing poker, I feel like there's more of a fog. Now, this isn't always the case. I can get into like an A-game mode, but when I'm playing on stream specifically, especially if there's somebody else there, especially if it's Sam DeLam, but maybe even with you, we'll see. I feel like there's this block where I'm afraid of looking bad. Like, I'm afraid of doing something bad, of making a public mistake, as it were, and it's to some extent paralyzing to my thought process. Not that I can't think at all, but like I'm playing a much worse version of my game than I'm capable of if I was like sitting with a student or making content or something like that. So yeah, really weird, the whole Twitch thing and the whole playing poker publicly thing.
It's interesting you should mention that. I think it's telling about the conditions under which our brains sort of perform, because I have the exact opposite problem as you. I think when I'm in game, I feel like I'm in the zone a lot of the time. I know exactly what to do, and I think clearly. A lot of times, since I'm newer to coaching and
Mm.
I'm newer, sort of like reviewing hands out loud for the purposes of other people consuming that, I often feel like a lot more fog when I have to like articulate myself deliberately to another
Mm.
person for them to understand it. So I think yeah, I mean, it's got to do with the environment that you're in. I mean, you're not used to being at the tables as much anymore, and I think you'll get used to it. I don't know what advice to give. I've never been in a situation where people are like watching my game over my shoulder. I
Mm.
suspect I feel largely the same way. Although I think, I don't know actually. I don't know how I'd feel, but I don't know. I think once you do it more, you'll probably just get used to it. And especially if you are having good results, I mean, that'll generate whatever confidence I think you need to get in the zone more.
Mm. Yeah. The other problem is not feeling like there's a great place to play poker at the moment. I think this is something like a lot of people, you probably don't have this problem because you have like your localized pool, which is like a pretty good place to play poker. But
Yeah,
I,
definitely.
I think with international Zoom pools or Euro pools being not very good, GG being like very high rake, other sites being like really insecure and bot filled, it almost feels like, I guess the other hang up I have about trying to make loads of Twitch content and put in more volume again is like, man, like where to even play, and like is there a good place to like grind a big sample, and where is that place? And I think this is another side of the game right now that people struggle with. I don't think it's as much of an issue if you're playing lower stakes. I think as you're like thinking about where to play 200, 500 in the future, it becomes a lot more of an issue.
I
Right.
mean, the real thing about being good at poker is that you should live in the United States. And if you don't live in the United States, then you suck at poker. Sorry.
Yeah. Why is Cruiser playing this game?
Maybe he saw you. He wants to be on stream.
I think that's it. Or 200 isn't running. He normally plays 200 Zoom. 200 Zoom's not running. That could be it. Cruiser, get out of here. Go start the 200 game. What are you playing at?
Set.
You're not allowed to comment, Alex. I might have missed the fact that's a set, and I might have just folded. We're playing big bets on this texture. Villain calls. Is our hand a pure bet on the turn? I think it is. Are we going to overbet? No. So I'm going to be 75. Villain calls. I think our hand's a pretty easy river check on this card. If villain leads, I'd be very impressed if he's bluffing enough. He'd have to turn like King Jack into a bluff. It's also just a weird spot to lead. He does actually lead here. I think our hand is a catcher. I think villain is drowning in value and has to turn a pair into a bluff here and doesn't get to the river with many low showdown value looking pairs. So I'm actually going to just exploit fold here.
Pretty grim spot by the river. Now, for value, I agree with you that he's absolutely drowning in it. Yeah, so villain's going to have a significant amount of nut flush draws and 5x of clubs and maybe some 10x of clubs that get here as a call pretty often. So those hands are going to be highly incentivized to lead on this texture changing run out because he's going to be getting checked back on by you so often. Yep. Considering value range has just been pretty much like your turn value range has just been completely decimated by this card.
Yep.
With the exception of like a few hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like King Queen. So if he is just like leading every single time he has a flush and every single time he has like 9-8, then he'd have to balance that by bluffing. Yeah, maybe like I don't have a good intuition for how often actually he would have to be bluffing, but my sense is he would have to be bluffing with a couple like Jack X hands. And
yeah, Queen 10.
The good
seems like the main one.
Right, yeah, Queen 10's a better one because the Jack X can show down and beat you up, so maybe a little bit better.
Yeah.
I mean, so Queen 10, but like.
So I'm probably supposed to be calling this hand at a decent frequency at equilibrium because I'm supposed to give him credit for having enough like King 10, Queen 10 hands playing this way. And you know, I don't know how good 100 NL regs are. They're much better than 100 NL regs anywhere else. Like 100 NL regs in this pool are definitely like they're no joke. If they're, especially if 200 isn't running, then they're no joke. But at the same time, it's still not that easy. It's maybe more intuitive to find the value lead than the bluff lead here, just like from a pure intuition standpoint.
I think that's probably true, just because it feels bad in general to bluff when you have like a pair and showdown value, and you think you can maybe, I don't know, that is just a very human way to play poker. But if he's good enough to be finding this, I mean, I don't know, something tripped my intuition, or like triggered my intuition that this guy was just like good enough to be finding the pair bluffs, because he like took a little bit of time to like make a decision, and like it's just the 7 of clubs. It's like if you're a good reg, you know exactly what this means for villain's value range, and like, I don't know, my sense is he's bluffing the spot. Which
I would agree.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just don't think there's that many natural combos of like low showdown value stuff. Like, see if villain could have arrived here with like a lot of 9x. Like the fact we have 2 9s, I don't know how that has to be bad blocking Queen 9 suited, right? Queen 9 suited is like the most obvious bluff here possible, and we block it twice. So like even from like a combo perspective, our combo is pretty horrible to call with because villain by necessity is bluffing a pair on this node. So we probably do better with like pocket aces, right? That doesn't really block any bluffs than this hand. So yeah. Weird spot. So usually you want the pair on the board. You want to like have the thing on the board so you can block the stuff off the board. But when villain's bluffs always come from the thing on the board, this probably isn't even that great a catcher.
Yeah, I agree. Good fold. Disciplined.
So I'm just going to start with small here. Ace Ace 8, very good board for a range. 10's getting thin value denial, has to be called by some worse. King Queen floats, etc. On turn, I'm probably just going to play mainly block here on the Ace Ace X node. This is the right sizing. Can my hand block? I think it probably can block again. I think it's probably strong enough. I think it can also check though. We do have the 10 of diamonds, which is a negative. We'd rather have the 10 of spades or something here, but you know, whatever. Or the 10 of clubs. Well, actually, on the paired board, it's a bit weirder with that. But this is kind of going into blocker territory. We do block ace 10 of hearts. This is a good card to have. Villain bets half pot. My sense is that we shouldn't fold 10s yet, nor should we raise. I don't think we're yet indifferent with this combo. I think we're just calling. My sense on this river is that our hand's a pure fold because it's blocking bluffs and unblocking value. So I think we're folding river here to any size. We do get here with some ace X, some pocket nines, some flushes. Not many flushes. It's a difficult spot to defend enough here, but we just have such better calls that we have queens with a club, kings with a club, all of this stuff, and ace. This is just definitely a fold. There's no way this combo can call. Right, Alex, that was a few notes there, so I'm going to sit out.
I don't honestly have much to add about that one because I agree with everything you said, with the exception of like we can't fold 10s on the turn. I think absolutely we can fold 10s on the turn because the positions are so tight, given that he opened hijack.
It won't be. It must be calling at some frequency though.
Probably, yeah.
Must be like close to indifferent. Maybe I should have mixed turn, but yeah, okay.
You'll honestly, like, looking at these tight position 3-bet pot battles, you'll be surprised at how quickly like these under pairs just become indifferent to like even a single bet.
Yeah.
And 4-bet pots in early positions. So just like if there's an ace high flop, you just face like a single small bet, and like the under pairs are already indifferent. So flop can come like ace 9-4 and like queen for 1-bet.
Then river, it's gonna be pretty hard for villain to bluff enough here. Actually, I think. Even if we didn't have a pure theoretical fold, would you be tempted to exploit fold some combos there? Like say you've got queens with a club, like how are you feeling?
Like I want to fold badly, yeah.
Yeah, like even though you've got a theoretical mix call at least there probably with queens with a club. Like I feel like it's going to start to prioritize the club big time because it's a node where the club doesn't block any bluffs but does block lots of value.
Yep. Not many offsuit bluff hands to speak of when we're holding the queen of clubs.
Exactly.
So I'm going to be a blocker.
Yep.
But by the same token, that reasoning just suggests that there are a lot less natural bluffs in villain's range. Yeah.
So turn already then might just be getting, like it could even be underbluffed for half pot on turn. By that point, it could be that you do better by folding 10s in this pool. Yep. Okay, this turn card is obviously quite degrading to our hand. I think the best play in practice here is to block. Now, I don't know what theory would say about this spot. Probably block is okay on this card in theory as well. Villain calls kind of quickly. We lose to King Jack, we lose to 10-9, we lose to quad 8s, we lose to 8-9 and stuff now. I think villain still has like some Jack X, some 10s, some 9s, stuff like that. My instinct here is that like a really small block bet performs better than a check. So that's what I'm going to do. This is an interesting one, Alex, and I'm going to caveat this by saying I'm super unsure about this one.
Small bet flop, obviously fine, no comments there. Turn jack, I'm expecting we're going to see a pretty deep-polar turn bet strategy from the out of position player here because we're turning a bunch of medium strength hands when we hit a jack. A hand like ace jack or like jack 10 or something like that, and it's going to demote a lot of the hands that he's calling flop with.
It's going to also demote our flop value range to some extent as well, right? So if we had like king queen, we might be able to bet big on a deuce, but on a jack we obviously can't bet more than block in theory, I don't think.
So yeah, I think block is, if I had to guess, is going to be pretty solver approved, and I think is going to perform well in reality because he has a sort of showdown value heavy range that we can still get a lot of value from, but that I think is going to respond a little bit more sheepishly against larger sizes. And plus we're isolating ourselves much more against the stuff that does now beat us, which is not to be ignored combinatorically speaking. I mean, we obviously cannot rule out hands like pocket jacks, 8s, 7s, king jack, and 10.
Yep.
Jax I know is mostly a 4-bet in theory, but we're against a recreational, so that is not a safe thing to assume. But anyway,
Hmm.
uh, on the river 8, I think I differ from you here slightly in thinking that I suspect that because an 8 is pretty combinatorically inabundant, and because I expect to get raised with the bulk of stuff that's beating us on the turn,
Hmm.
I think our
Yep.
hand is strong enough to afford to go for a larger sizing, and I believe that's going to perform better in reality against
Yeah.
basically a range that's just a bunch of showdown value that could
Yep.
call you down for whatever reason. Maybe it just
It's
doesn't
so
believe.
funny because before you started speaking there, I had this crossroads where I was like, do I start speaking and tell Alex that I've realized I should have bet river bigger because like too much stuff would have raised turn that beats me, or do I let him say that because he's almost certainly going to say that, and I decided to let you say it. But there we are.
I appreciate it. You're giving me the credit.
That's a mental game leak. So when I'm streaming, I have like a fear of publicly losing a pot. So when I bet big here, even though like in hindsight it looks really normal, and like I agree with you that like weaker players are just going to fast play a wet turn with 2 pair plus almost always, and that's all we lose to, apart from 8-9 ace-8. In the moment, I definitely get, I want to just be honest, I get like monsters under the bed. I get scared. There's some part in my brain that's like, oh no. And it's so irrational because it's not about the money, clearly. It's not about like losing $40. Like, that's not it. It's something to do with a public taking a beating publicly or something like that. And that's what I'm trying to get over, because I do want to do more Twitch, and I want to be honest with you in the audience here and not just be like, oh yeah, I had some technical reason. It was actually a mental game leak for sure. I need to keep working on if I'm going to stream more.
Do you think betting small is going to decrease your probability of losing the pot, though?
No, it's just like I don't want to bet too big for the hand and then get called and then look silly. Or then like I don't even know what it is. It's too vague. It's not a rational thing, so it's not really the case that I can reason it away. It's more like a really vague emotional mental program that's going on. It's like too vague to respond to that kind of logic, I think. Like, because no, of course not. Like, no. But by betting small, it's like I've satisfied a really vague subconscious demon that was asking me to bet small. If that makes, I don't know if that makes sense, but
I think, yeah, that makes sense. Though I will say, I don't like, yeah, you have better access to the contents of your own mind than I do, 100%. If I were in this situation and I noticed myself make this mistake, I would just think to myself, oh, yeah, I forgot he's supposed to raise turn with pretty much everything better. Oops.
which
I
I
wouldn't,
did. Yeah, okay, fair. Maybe
yeah, I
that's
wouldn't have this like psychoanalytical, delve into my like subconscious like desire not to want to look like I lost a pot. I would just be like, oops, I forgot.
well, that's because you're
Uh,
probably not feeling the latter though. I was strongly
yeah,
feeling the latter while I was playing the hand, right? So I'm not just inventing that to try and explain it. Now I was actually strongly experiencing it on the river.
right,
But I
yeah,
did
and like,
also forget that he's gonna raise. I did also forget that exploitative read, and I think if I wasn't like paralyzed by the mental game leak, then I would have found it much more easily. That's the difference in my mind between A game and C game or whatever, right?
mhm.
Hello. Your race here with bottom set. I'm just gonna go big on this texture against under the gun because I'm not in the business of making thin value raises in this spot. I'm raising mainly gut shots, flush draws, things like this. Villain has more King X of hearts than I do proportionately now. My range has been merged, so I'm obviously just blocking with close to range here. This is the only way to play the spot. If villain raises, we'll call. It's not so clear what the bluffs are. Villain calls, Queen River, pair one pair. Sizing wise, sizing. Our range is obviously just very strong here. I think I'm just going to pure block this combo. I'm probably going to call a raise here, because I think a lot of flushes will raise turn, and I don't think villain's going to value raise that thinly here, and I think they can overbluff just by having queens with a heart or kings with a heart too easily. So I'm probably going to block call river. Alex, I don't know what you think about that plan. I think it's going to be overbluffed.
Yeah, that's a well played hand. I wouldn't block call river though.
You block
I
fold?
Yeah, I would block fold for sure.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, I don't think it's.
That is a decent reg, by the way, just for context. Like, they'll land on the river with a lot of combos with a heart blocker that are not attractive river calls. That's my thinking. Like, their landing range contains a lot of combinations that look like bluff raises. My other read is that I think they're raising turn with like their best flushes at quite a high frequency against that sizing.
I mean, the queen like gives him a pair if he called turn with like king 10 off with the king of spades or something. Oh no, that would make him a straight. If he had like king queen off with the queen of spades or the king of spades.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's not going to be feeling like those hands have any showdown value anyway. So I think they still are going to register to a decent reg as just bluff candidates.
Yep.
Now, so I agree with your first point. I don't agree though with the read that he's going to be mainly raising or like almost entirely raising. Probably mainly is fair, but I think he's going to have like a very big chunk of like flush draw. Flush calls on this turn. Because like when you see this action and you're holding a flush, you're thinking like it is very, very plausible for you to receive bets on later streets, but also very plausible to just get a fold if you raise now. And so it's not like that intuitive. It's not an intuitive spot to want to like raise, and the SPR is not big enough to make you feel that urgent.
Maybe I'm getting a bit paranoid. I'm just so used to fuck off, man. What the hell are you doing?
What is that? That's bizarre.
I think like another mental game thing I have going on here is that because I know, and I'm sure you've suffered from this, Alex, and a lot of people have suffered from this, but when you know that your range has a lot of like medium shit in it, and you know that you probably don't play the nut flush this way very often, for example, it's very easy to just like want to not fold because you've almost waved like a come attack me kind of flag with your sizing. And then whether people are attacking you or not, you have that in your head, right? And I think that's something that's going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a mental game leak I had for a while, actually. I would just like block call like literally everything. And I just started getting like taken to value town completely by the other regs. And like they were, it was a bad time for me. Because I would just be like, oh, like he definitely thinks that I'm just capped here and he's trying to get the better of me. And I would just call everything. And yeah, it was bad. Another thing that neither of us mentioned is just that like, even in addition to flushes, Villain just like makes a new set on this river and has jacks and aces that can conceivably raise for value against block because, yeah, like block is not the main play when you have a flush.
Sure.
I don't think.
It feels a bit thin to me, but yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, like, I think this is like the bottom of my, like, this is about the worst hand I'm going to have here for value of any bet size, I think. Like, I don't think I'm betting ace jack for any sizing, for example.
Actually, yeah, that is true.
I'm not.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I think...
Like, I think raising queens on the river would be really bad.
It sort of feels bad both ways. Really, you think, like, facing a block and, like, having queens with the queen of hearts, and you're just thinking, like,
yeah, because I have straights. I have flushes. I have bad flushes and straights galore, and I would block plenty of them, I think. Like, if I have a 6-high flush, like, what's my river line here? It's probably a lot of block. Maybe you can bet bigger as well, but I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't feel good about raising queens in villain shoes here at all. Also, like, you may just not be called by worse very often at all. Like, even if you do start with 65-70% equity, that's not going to be enough, right?
Yeah, true.
Honestly, if he raised me with queens on the river and I had king 10, I might end up, like, if I block the bluffs heavily with king 10, which I do, I might end up actually, like, folding the river if I have the king of clubs in my hand and I've made a straight and I get raised. So if he does raise queens there, I might just fold the best hand, like, randomly. That's how I think it's too thin. So 7-3-3. We want to be betting this hand probably more than global. Global's probably not that high. 30 or something. Maybe this hand goes to like 50. Do I want to play big bet, over bet here? Like, what's my... I think I do want to play some over bet. And some big bet. On a 4-table big bet. I think I do want to play some over bet here, though. I think this hand's a pure bet. I guess with a blocker to the 7, we don't want to overbet the river here. We just want to big bet the river and allow Cruiser to do some raise. Although I think the raise is going to be very infrequent on this node. Actually, I'm going to overbet because I think he's going to think this is overbluffed. I'm getting meta here, but if I'm not perceived to overbet 8s, 9s, a 7, etc., I'm now just saying I have a queen, and a lot of my overpair could have overbet the turn. Oh, he's going to fold if he's dumping trash on me. I'm trying to level him here, because it's reg battles. It's reg wars. It didn't work. I think I should big bet in theory, though, when I also have the 7. Probably.
On river or turn?
River, because I block the 7 with my queen, I have one of the queens that doesn't overbet river, would be my guess.
Oh, big bet is distinct from big bet is smaller than overbet.
Big bet 7, sorry, when I say big bet, it's a bit misleading, I mean B75, thereabouts.
Yeah. That's an interesting one, actually. I think we should maybe talk about that.
Okay. We want to be mixing flop, we're checking back fairly often here. Turn, I think you can probably just play overbet already, honestly, with the 7 here if you want to.
So let's actually just step back to the flop for a second. I
Mm.
noticed you said that you think that we should be betting this flop pretty infrequently as a like range versus range.
Yeah.
I've noticed you've said that like a few times where you're sort of saying like, ah, this is like a super infrequent flop bet from villain. I think on like the 6-3-2 with a flush draw. But like from the research I've done, it's like it's pretty rare to have like a flop C bet percentage that's like lower than 40%, with the exception of monotone boards. And so I think and some of that is because the solver assumes that like the big blind is donking some of this especially favorable boards, but that won't
Yeah,
be the case.
so I take donks out, and when you take donks out, the c-bet
Yeah,
frequencies drop right down. So
gotcha.
I don't recommend that people run trees with donk bets because it doesn't give you like a good verdict. So if you take the donk out on boards like 6-5-3, the c-bet frequency is like 20 something percent. But I can see
Gotcha.
why it's higher with the donk enabled, yeah.
Okay, and then on this one,
This one's
yeah,
not really low, but it's like, it's because the 3 is paired, it's
yes,
something like sub 50% global probably here. Like, it's not like 20% here.
checking obviously absolutely fine. Now, if we had bet this flop, I mean, I think we have a slam dunk overbet on this turn, but yeah, I can see wanting to go 75 here because
I think though, I think like we're still just really nutted versus capped here, even if we've checked back flop, because at some frequency we're checking back over pairs on the flop for sure. At some our 7 is now upgraded after villains check and the 3 tripping up. So I feel like we have both an overbet and a big bet here, but the overbet's more prevalent because the only stuff that can big bet but not overbet is like 4s or ace king or something. So like we probably play both if we want to. I could be wrong, but I feel like overbet's very much a thing on this delayed c-bet node as well. Contrary
yeah,
to the
that makes sense to me. I'd say probably. I to be honest with you, I don't know how much he's supposed to be slow playing a 3 here. Probably like a decent-ish amount, and yeah, he's gonna have like some 3s. I mean, they're not terribly combinatorically abundant because when
yeah.
there's
I don't think they
on
matter
the
now.
board,
I
yeah, like
don't
when
think
he
they
needs
matter.
to have like a suited hand to have a 3, and there's already 3 3s on the board. It's really
Yep.
there's actually not that much of it. So yeah, I think actually I'm yeah I think almost certainly overbet's gonna be fine on this.
Yep.
Yep.
And then on the river, there's some pattern in GTO where when you have the second card as well as the blocker, you want to size down because when you overbet, you're relying on loads of 7x calling you, so some of them being gone just like makes big bet better than overbet, like opening the door to being raised here, I think. And that's a blocker anomaly because obviously a hand like a queen is usually just going to want to overbet because it's so strong. But I think with the 7 it changes it, but I could be wrong.
Yep.
I did go for overbet though because I wanted Cruiser to call my overbet because I wanted to get one over on Cruiser, which is solid reasoning. But Cruiser
And I
was
don't think the
like,
blocker effect is like so significant that it's going to make overbet a bad play. I
maybe
think
not.
yeah.
Maybe not, because so much of his call down range has to be ace high for all sizing schemes here, regardless, right? Like it's just one of those
Right.
spots where if you start folding ace high all the time, you're just over folding dramatically. So
Yeah,
even
ace high and like lower pairs.
yeah, I mean, if you have 4s, this is probably a pure river call, for example, to overbet, I would think.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, fours is just beyond indifferent at this point. So I wonder. I mean, it would probably just depend on the blockers, and I have no idea how to predict.
Well, that's why I think it would be a pure call, because the 4-5, 6-5 combos are betting flop at a higher frequency than the other ones, so you want to have the 4 in the delayed node or something. It wouldn't be like massively winning, I just think it would be like it would be a pure call and it'd be slightly winning or something, but not by loads. Alright, Alex, thank you so much for overseeing my game and advising me today. It was really, really useful. I think it unlocked some of my best play that I've done on stream recently, and I hope to make this into a video, and I hope to do this again as well. I'm really looking forward to Aggress to Impress 10 spots to improve your game via aggression, or whatever it's called, in the near future. It's coming out on Carrot Corner, so I can't wait for that. People can check out your existing content on Carrot Corner, of course, by subscribing to carrotcorner.com. You can find Alex there in our subscriber library.
Have like a website now that you can access through Carrot Corner if you want to grab a session of private coaching with me.
Or you can access it not through Carrot Corner as well, which is bayesianpoker.com, where Alex allows you to book a coaching session with him. I'd highly recommend. Alex is a coach. From everything you've heard today, you can see why I've given him a testimonial for his website, and I think he's one of the best coaches that I've had the pleasure of talking to and working with. in recent times, and for that reason, couldn't recommend enough. Don't worry, Alex, I'm not selling private coaching right now. If anything, I'm trying to avoid it. So please plug your coaching. It's okay.
Okay, good. Yeah, BAYESIAN poker.com. That's my website. You should check it out if you want to be coached by me, or just DM me on Discord. You can find that in Pete's Discord or whatever. All right. That's all I'll add. I'll add a little plug.
Absolutely. You've earned it. More than earned it. Alright guys, see you later for another stream. Take it easy. Much love, and don't forget to subscribe on Carrot Corner for more content from Alex, so to check out his own website. See you later.
Don't you fall, Master Day game.